Modi, Modi!
Blood in your hands!
Modi, Modi!
Blood in your hands!
Amit Shah! Blood in your hands! Amit Shah!
Blood in your hands!
Justice for!
Kuki-Zo women!
Justice for!
Kuki-Zo women!
We're here today to express our deep pain and our horror that as India is celebrating its 77th Independence Day, women from minority communities are being systematically targeted for horrific sexual violence by state-sanctioned mobs. The world was shocked by the incidents where Kuki-Zo women in Manipur were paraded naked, gang-raped and killed by heavily armed mobs, and where the police were themselves seen handing over women to the mobs. And this story is not new. This story is repeated across India. We remember the unspeakable violence committed against women and children during the Gujarat genocide of 2002 when Modi, who's now Prime Minister, was Chief Minister of Gujarat. And we remember how Bilkis Bano, who was gang raped at that time, had to wage a courageous battle for years and years to get justice and to bring those who gang raped her to justice and who also murdered her 3-year-old daughter. But despite that, just 1 year ago, in fact last Independence Day, the Modi government celebrated Independence Day in the most horrific and sickening way by approving the early release of the rapists of Bilkis Bano. And when they were released, they were actually welcomed with garlands. Their release was celebrated. And this was done by the VHP, which is a sister organization of the ruling BJP. In Hathras, in UP, which is another BJP-ruled state, the BJP government went to extreme lengths to shield oppressor caste men who had brutally gang-raped and murdered a 19-year-old Dalit woman. And they even arrested and put in jail those who were going to Hathras to try and report on what happened. And we can never forget, of course, all of us, what happened in 2018 in Kashmir, when the little 8-year-old Asifa was horrifically gang-raped and murdered, and the BJP held demonstrations in support of the rapists. So this is the pattern, this hideous misogyny against Muslim, Christian, Dalit and Adivasi women and girl children is inseparable from the rise of fascism and the terrifying spectre of ethnic cleansing and genocide in India.
And we should remind Indian government that they, in their Indian constitutions, they promise to uphold religious freedom and speech that we can't practice anymore. We are uprooted from our land. We are a kind of refugee from our land, which is really sad. I just don't know how to express. I'm lost of words now. But one thing I would like to say, brothers and sisters, thank you for your support, for the solidarity that you showed to our people. It's amazing. It's amazing. Thank you very much. On behalf of Unite UK, thank you. I want to say thank you very much, all of you.
I also want to highlight what the brother said about natural resources and the plunder which is going on and which underlies so much horrific violence going on across India. The experience of Adivasi communities across the country who have found their lands and natural resources plundered and have been subject to horrendous violence, including sexual violence. And so we've seen a wave of solidarity protests by Adivasi communities across India with the Kuki-Zo people and protesting about what's happening in Manipur.
BJP and RSS!
Who are the fascists?
BJP and RSS!
Who are the bulldozers?
BJP and RSS!
Who are the bulldozers?
BJP and RSS!
Who are the rapists?
BJP and RSS!
Who are the rapists?
BJP and RSS!
Justice for
Kuki-Zo women!
Justice for
Kuki-Zo women!
Justice for
Kuki-Zo women!
My name is Claudia Webb, and yes, I'm the Member of Parliament for Leicester East, and so I bring you solidarity. I want to thank Amrit and everyone at the South Asian Solidarity Group for inviting me here to speak in support of the Kuki-Zo and other minority women in Manipur who have suffered so horrifically in recent months. And it's worth taking a moment just to reflect on that suffering.
Escalation of mob lynching, rape and murder of minorities, silencing of progressive forces. You know, since BJP came into power, there has been a paradigm shift in public political discourse. It is horrifying to see on television debates that spread poison and hate. Whether it is Manipur or the latest violence occurring in New Haryana, politicians routinely use Hindu nationalist rhetoric to divide and polarize the community, in which rape and murder of women is weaponized with impunity.
What's happened recently is a relentless effort by a fascist regime, and let's call it what it is, which is a fascist regime based on the ideological foundations set by Mussolini in Italy and Adolf Hitler in Germany. I'm not going to beat around the bush because that is exactly what it is. These are their forefathers. But one thing that's interesting about this fascist ideology, and one thing that's really scary about this fascist ideology, is that it has learnt from the mistakes of the past and become even stronger. And this is the concern we have. And the reality is Hindutva extremism isn't just something that is specific to India. It has spread worldwide, and we are seeing the effects of it in our very own streets. Claudia will know, and she came on earlier, that just 3 weeks ago in Leicester we had a Hindutva extremist hate preacher being invited from India into the UK, bypassing any Home Office checks. Dhirendra Shastri, he gave a speech talking for the Hindu Rashtra in the streets of Leicester, knowing that this man called for the bulldozing of Muslim homes. Still, the Leicestershire police gave him an NPA Commander's Award. So what is happening here is an active agenda from Hindutva extremists to normalize genocide, to normalize hate. But we have a message for them today. You are cowards. Hindutva extremists are cowards. You think that by attacking our mothers, by attacking our sisters, by attacking our daughters, we are going to stop? No way in hell. We will not stop. We will continue. And as long as there is just one person fighting for justice, justice will prevail. Because the reality is, fascism fails. It has always failed, and it will fail again. Thank you for listening.
And today we rise to demand an end to the raping of women, the parading of women being naked, threats to our lives and killings, to stop the state-sponsored hate killings, stop ethnic cleansing, and to end sexual violence against the Kuki women in Manipur.
I want to be clear, the continued use of rape, degradation and violence towards minority women in India, including of Muslim and Dalit women, is reflective of the oppressive anti-minority politics of the current BJP-led regime. Meiti groups in Manipur have been emboldened to carry out this extrajudicial punishment because of it, and Human Rights Watch have rightly described the punishment of minorities in India, whether Muslim, Dalit or Kuki, as summary and abusive. It is particularly disturbing that any form of accountability or justice for the incident has been hampered by the near-total internet blackout in Manipur, supported by the state authorities, as reported by Amnesty International.
Targeting minorities including Muslims, Dalits, Adivasis and Christians. The victims are our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, even the unborn. What kind of government do we have in India today? We must rise against this darkness, united in defense of our nation's soul. Let us not merely repair but prevent and ensure that these horrors never define India's legacy. May peace and justice prevail everywhere in India for our sisters and brothers. Thank you very much.
Modi, Modi, you got high!
You committed genocide!
Who are the rapists?
BJP, RSS!
Who are the rapists?
BJP, RSS!
Who are the lynchers?
BJP, RSS!
Who are the lynchers?
BJP, RSS!
Who are the fascists?
BJP, RSS!
Who are the fascists?
BJP, RSS!
We have come here to only give support and to tell you that there are those of us who are always thinking of you. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming here with hearts of solidarity. And in recent days I've been thinking the BJP RSS fascism in India. When are we going to wake up and free from this nightmare? This nightmare has been going on for too long. For too long. Too many regions of India have been affected. And it's not just India. I'm from Sri Lanka myself. And in the late 80s, India sent an army of so-called peacekeepers to intervene in a civil war situation in Sri Lanka. And I think for the first time in Sri Lanka we experienced mass rapes of women. And it was just so, the sheer volume of it, because this is an army that is brutal and trained to kill and rape. And Sri Lanka has always lived under the shadow of Big Brother India. India has always had this hegemonic approach towards Sri Lanka.
Sure.
Okay, this is a message of solidarity from John McDonnell, former Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer. Okay, I am sorry that I am unable to attend the demonstration next week. I would be grateful if you could pass on a message of support from me. I am extremely concerned about the reports we are receiving of the continuing threat to the human rights and civil liberties of so many groups in India, including Christians, Muslims, Adivasis and Dalits. I am appalled at the persecution of the mainly Christian Kuki-Zo people, including the burning of villages and the horrific sexual violence against women. The failure of the police to act, and in some instances to collude in this violence, are disgraceful. I am aware that in northern India, violence against Muslims has risen to unprecedented levels, with reports of lynchings, the demolition of homes and the burning of mosques. I support the calls for justice for survivors and victims of these human rights abuses, and offer my solidarity to all those resisting these assaults on civil liberties and democratic rights. Yours, John McDonnell MP. Thank you.
These are women who have been the victims of the violence. We stand with them and call out for crimes against humanity. The people who are behind this
the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, the Chief Minister of Biren Singh, and there will be many more people with them, but we call out and we want these people tried in a court of justice. Which court of justice is going to try them? It should be our own Supreme Court, and I call out to the Supreme Court of India to stand with the indigenous peoples, the tribal people, who are the ones who have maintained the lands, the forests, the rivers of our country, which we all enjoy.
Power to the women! Power to the women! Women got the power! Women got the power! Sisters, can you hear us? Sisters, can you hear us? Stronger by the hour! Stronger by the hour! Power! 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 Power to the women! Women got the power! Women got the power! Sisters, can you hear us? Sisters, can you hear us? Stronger by the hour! Stronger by the hour! Power! 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 Power to the women! Power to the women! Women got the power! Women got the power! Sisters, can you hear us? Sisters, can you hear us? Stronger by the hour! Stronger by the hour! Power! 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 Power to the women! Power to the women! Women got the power! Women got the power! Sisters, can you hear us? Sisters, can you hear us? Stronger by the hour! Stronger by the hour! Power! 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 Power to the women! Power to the women! Women got the power! Women got the power! Sisters, can you hear us?